Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania Magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. I am so excited for this episode. It's going to be a fun one. We got a masterful artist in the house. All right, here we go. There are car guys, and then there are guys that actually see cars kind of how they are, maybe even before they exist. Johnny Jalopy is one of those guys. Before the sparks fly, before the metal gets cut, before the first tack weld hits the frame, well, it starts with a sketch, right? And it's not just any sketch. It's wild proportions. It's monsters with horsepower. It's attitude backed into every body line. Cars that actually look like they're alive, which is why we hired this guy to do the artwork for the Pierce Show last year. And we're going to be working with him again this year. If you've ever watched Full Custom Garage and thought, how does somebody even come up with those kinds of ideas? That's Johnny. He is the conceptual force behind builds that look impossible and then somehow become drivable. Born in California, studying hot rods like some kids studied baseball cards. Taught shading and perspective by his father. He even knew what composition meant. Self-taught, no art school pedigree, just obsession, which is really cool about a lot of artists, I think. From painting river rocks at flea markets to airbrushing skull t-shirts to mastering a Wacom pad and a Photoshop in a matter of just months to creating custom culture monsters that fabricator Ian Russell turns into actual real art, real metal. Come on, this is so cool. It's not just car art, guys. This is attitude on paper. Personality in steel, hot rod culture with a pulse. And for over 8 years, he and his wife, Itty B, have hosted Sketchy Live, which is building a tribe around imagination, ink, and horsepower. So Johnny doesn't just draw cars, all right? He captures their soul. This is art. This is fabrication. This is custom culture. This is Johnny Jalopy. Welcome to DubLife Diaries.
Well, thanks for having me on. Boy, I'd like to meet that guy you just talked about.
Man, you are so welcome. I've been looking forward to this one. You and I have been trying to connect for a number of months, and we finally made it happen. So, man, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Your time. Before we get into some awesome questions, I do want to give a shout out to some quick sponsors. You guys know first up on the list, Volksmania Magazine. I feel like these guys are the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. Why? Because it's the people, not just the quality of the pages. Check these guys out, Volksmania.com. You can use DubLife10 at checkout and get 10% off of your subscription. That is US subscribers only. How cool is it that I actually have to say that it only works in the US? Because I got people from across the world trying to enter that discount code. How cool is that? Yes, it's not about me, though. It's about you. Also, shout out to Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is absolutely tearing up the West Coast coastal, actually now all over the state, VW scene. We got swag. We got events. We're doing big things. Check us out, saltydub.com. Last shout out, Johnny, and it's back to you, is to Vera Upholstery of St. Pete. We're talking award-winning automotive and marine upholstery, or we can say interiors as a whole, because it doesn't just stop with upholstery. This dude is a crafter. His team is amazing. They do some of the most badass custom work I've ever seen, and their 73 thing just won its best in class at Bug Jam just this last year. And this thing is sick when I tell you, the stitching on the outside of the seats are stitched in the Volkswagen logo. Dude, who thinks about stuff like that? So absolutely cool. But that's it. I'm done. No more shout outs. It's back to you, my brother. Back to you.
Well, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you, dude, for your time. I appreciate it, man. I've been looking forward to this
pleasure. One. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So let's go
What
back.
do you got?
Yeah, let's go back in time just a little bit. Talk to me about
Okay.
maybe the first moment that you might have remembered in your life, maybe even as a child, that you were obsessed with cars, because clearly you are.
Yeah. Well, it started with from my dad. My dad was a budding artist himself. Never had much confidence in his own art abilities, but as a little kid, my dad was trying to learn how to do painting. And one morning, he comes into my room and he goes, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And it was a dragster or a funny car, completely on fire, and just going down the drag strip. And I remember seeing that thing going, "Oh my god, that is so cool!" And then is that like ignited like, oh, you could do cars and stuff on in painting. And so that's really the birth of it. And then of course, the time frame in which I grew up and stuff, the Batmobile and the Monkeys Mobile and Scooby Doo and all that different kind of stuff was on television, and it was a big, the Dukes of Hazard, Smokey and the Bandit. Everything was cars and fast cars and jumping cars, and so that's where it all started. Is it just as a kid, the time frame I grew up, but it really was ignited by my dad.
What do you think it was about growing up in California that maybe shaped you as an artist?
Well, I definitely it's so interesting. I didn't really start doing a lot of automotive type stuff until I left California, which is crazy. But all the whole time growing up, I was in the around it a lot. My folks worked for they didn't work for, but they were in the Lions Club, and they would have like charity events and stuff, and there would be car shows that they would put on. So the coolest of the cool cars would come, and I'd be around them as a kid, being able to see all these really cool hot rods and all the low riders. I grew up in Santa Maria, California,
Huh,
big mecca of lowrider scene.
that's my
So,
jam.
growing up seeing all, the amazing paint jobs and slammed, Impalas and everything else. And then when I finally got old enough to drive, it was right in the mini trucking scene was coming in. So it was like this. I got lucky and I came around it in the sweet spot, but still really wasn't like I could do what I'm doing now. And it wasn't until I left it. I think I just because I had jonesed for it so much,
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta get back into it. I'm jonesing to have car stuff in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So like you mentioned, having being around a area popular like that. What did car shows kind of feel like to you as a kid? Were you like looking at all the cars, dreaming about drawing them, or were you dreaming about owning them?
It was more owning them. I remember seeing one of the first, like I saw a Model A and also a lowrider bomb, just lay in frame. And this was back when where it was hydraulics and static drop for lowering cars. But to see a car so low to the ground, I just went, man, whoever owns this has just got to be the coolest person in the world to drive a car like this. And so I remember thinking to myself, one day I'm gonna have one of those. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have one. And that's I was bitten. I was bitten, especially by things low. And with the whole Volkswagen thing, nothing looks cooler and sexier than anything VW slammed to the ground.
Right on, dude. I feel that literally right in the center of my chest.
Oh my
I've
god.
even said that on previous episodes before because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Nothing is sexier than a slammed Volkswagen, and I don't even care what model it is. Slam it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You name it, you name the platform or the model, they just look so good. Yeah. And then of course all the other things that come along with it can only enhance it more,
right.
yeah, but definitely that's where the I wanted to be. I wasn't into the stock and like muscle car stuff. I was like, I'm into the stuff that's slammed to the ground, that has some sort of an attitude. The person that owns that, wherever he's at, that guy's got to be cool.
So that time was that maybe one of the first cars that truly kind of left an imprint on you?
for sure. And I think, and I want to say it was again the first one I really saw that was was a hot rod, but it was like a Model A, and it was really low compared to all the other kind of muscly, high boys and stuff like that. I remember seeing a Model A, fully fendered, and on the front of the license plate it was which is now such a cliche um, bumper sticker, or I think it was a license plate that said what was it, to praise the Lord, and I was like, even that's
Yes.
cool
Yeah, it is cool.
because it was so low. And then again, it was sitting next to a full, completely just amazing paint job, pearls and graphics and metal flake and stuff like that, slammed
Oh,
Impala.
yeah.
And so there's
Yes.
the juxt of those two types of vehicles, both kind of doing the same stance. And I'm like, man, there's so much variety. And those are just the cars I was drawn to, things that were lowered.
Mm.
Um, which I guess is why, when the mini trucking scene came, I was like, yeah, I got to get one, and I want to put mine on totally on the ground.
Yes. So we're talking late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
I got two older brothers, they were into them as well. I had one. I had an Isuzu. It was purple. My brother Josh had an Isuzu. It was black. It had a topper. The bed could stand up and dance and
Right.
rotate. And he had like six 15s in the trunk or in the bed, essentially. But yeah, man, that was that whole scene. The hood
But I
was
would,
brushed.
yeah, and I would see in the corner, we do the cruise in Santa Maria into the parking lot, there was always this group of sick, the SoCal bugs, that style,
Mhm.
where they were just slammed on the ground, Porsche alloys, super deep tint windows, and I'm going, man, even those are cool. And I always thought to myself, man, a Volkswagen would be so awesome. And what was weird is I was like, it's just out of my out of my price range. I don't think I can, but not knowing that they were really affordable even then to
Yeah.
get into the hobby. They seem, because of the ones I saw were so finished. I'm like, that thing is so unattainable. That thing is
Right.
so custom. There's no way I could afford that. And little did I know, it was affordable, and I should have got into it then, because then I would have had, there was so many more of them then.
Right. And back then,
60s, yeah,
split window buses in the 80s and 90s were $1,500.
right.
You know what I mean? Which, by the way, was a lot of money back then, but not really.
Sure.
Because I acquired my first Beetle in '96 and I paid 2 grand for it. Had 70,000 miles on it. Got it from a little old lady, was a one owner.
Wow.
You could still find deals like that in the mid '90s,
Right.
because they were just kind of old cars back then. They weren't really what they are now.
Right.
But still, always thought they were cool. All right, back to you though. When when did you realize, maybe, I guess at what age, that you weren't really just looking at cars, you were actually studying them?
Oh, man, all the time. I mean, I took like art class in junior high, and my art teacher, Mr. Beedinger, was an automotive artist guy. Like, I remember we'd be doing projects of, oh, draw the car, or a bowl of fruit, and then I'd walk up to his desk asking questions, and he'd be up there drawing this big, huge automotive portraits of different hot rods and customs and different stuff. But he would do a technique called stimpling, which is little teeny dots. And that's how he would create the artwork that he had, which I was like, even that's insane that you're doing that. And it just made me go, wow, that's really cool how he has no reference photos around him. Maybe a black and white shot. There was no internet where you could pop it up on a screen and really look at it, spin it around. So, the reference photos that he had to use, it was all in his brain. So I was like, how do you know? He's like, you got to sit there when you're in a parking lot, you go up to the car and you look and you spend time and you pay attention. And I'm like, okay. And that really landed with me too. But then there were times where this when I started getting a taste of specific things, where like, why is it I don't like that car, but I do like this car? It's not just paint, and it's not just, wheel choices. It's actual lines of the car. That design is just ugly. This design, there's just things about it that make it so gorgeous, that, what is it that is making me attracted to that? So that's when I really started paying attention to it. And as I got into high school, and you start really paying attention to cars because you're old enough to drive. The choices I wanted to make of vehicles was like, I want it to be cool and to look good and to pay attention to things maybe other people weren't really paying attention to.
Now, your dad was an artist. How much of what I guess crafted or shaped in you was nature versus nurture?
He was definitely a person that spoke art to me, and paying attention to technique and different things. So, like how when you're looking at things from a distance, how things in the very distant are much blurrier or darker or this or that. And then when you're looking at things up close, it's this. And he showed me paying attention to a lot of the details of things that maybe most people wouldn't really look at, were important, especially if you're going to draw or put them onto something, to pay attention to sweat some of those details. But he also was that guy that was like, but you don't want it to be a photograph either. There's got to be something to where it doesn't seem like you're just making a replica of what you see. It's something with your flavor and your style in it. So when I started creating my own artwork, that was the thing I was chasing, was like, how do I find my voice, which was very difficult in the beginning.
Do, do you remember maybe one of the first or most impactful maybe art lessons that you learned or that he gave you? I know you mentioned, kind of some of the direction, but do you remember really like one of the most profound or impactful art lessons that you ever got from him?
It was definitely when he was really trying to flesh out his he was a landscape guy. He liked painting landscapes. So he was in very, we live by the ocean, and he was wanted to capture, waves crashing and the different colors and light coming through the water and how different that changes versus, and then how the background would be a specific way, which would bring, give more life to what was in front. And he would just go over, like, we'd be sitting out and he'd go, do you like, we'd just walk outside of the house and he's like, do you see the way the trees look? Pay attention to what's behind it. Pay attention to what's behind that. So there was a lot of times where he would just stop and we'd just talk about that kind of stuff. And it was really cool. Those are the moments I cherish. Sadly, my dad, got Alzheimer's and stuff. So he struggled. That was the first thing that he found himself he couldn't do anymore, was painting. That was
Dang.
that was the first thing. It was like, he didn't say there's something wrong with me, but that was where we saw him. He would go out and paint, and he'd come in and he'd be very frustrated, where he used to go out and come in and be just like, oh, that was what a great 2 hours that was.
Right, right.
And wow, the thing that he loves the most is frustrating. What's going on? So
Wow.
that was a bummer to see that happen. And
Yeah.
that's really how this whole Johnny Jalopy thing happened, is when my dad got sick and ended up passing away. I was just dabbling in doing artwork. And it wasn't until he passed, like, his whole dream was he wanted people to see his art, but he didn't have enough confidence to show it.
Mm.
That was the strange thing. We had convinced him one time to put his art in a gallery, and he's like, "Nah, nobody's going to look at it." I'm like, "Dad, come on, just it's good enough. People look at it." Well, he went in with the idea that maybe someone will buy it, so it sat in this gallery for two months, never sold, and it just destroyed him. He's like, see, I told you my art's shit." I'm like, no, it's not. It's really amazing. The family loves it. We all love it. You're just saying that because we're related. No, Dad, it's really good. So it just defeated him, and he kept painting, but the idea of wanting to show his artwork anymore kind of was just squelched. So when
Yeah.
he passed away, and I was kind of dealing with the same kind of thing, like, do I show it? Do I share the things I'm doing? And then when he passed, I'm like, you know what? Not only am I going to start showing my art more, but I'm going to do this I'm going to make this a business thing. And every single piece of artwork that I sell, my dad just sold, because he's the one that got me into this. He's the one that
Oh,
showed
bro.
me.
I got
Yeah.
goosebumps from that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's true. It is. And that's no fooling. The
Oh, that's
day,
awesome.
the day sadly, I watched my dad take his last breath. I'm grateful. I also was there for that.
Sure.
But when that day, I was like, I'm doing this serious. I don't know what it's gonna take for me to do it seriously, but I'm gonna take this seriously. And again, so every single time I sold a print or I sell a print, even today, every single time a person buys a T-shirt or a sticker or something like that, my dad, his legacy of what he taught me people are buying his artwork. You know what I mean?
I love it, dude. I love
Yeah.
that. And that just hits even 50 times harder for me for any work that you're ever going to do for us in the future.
Well, I
So
appreciate that,
cool, man.
man.
I really value that. Before we started recording, you had touched on that funny car painting. I want to bring that.
Yeah.
He made a funny car painting for you. Just what did it mean to you at the time?
Well, being, a little kid who's, you always are trying to look up to your dad is your hero. At least my dad was my hero. And my thought was, man, he could have painted anything, like of a thing to learn stuff. And his thing was he liked painting. Uh, at that time he was really into painting like animals, eagles and lions. And he loved doing that. And then he went into the whole landscape thing. So this car thing was just totally outside of his wheelhouse of what he really liked to draw or paint. But he was like, but he knew I like cars because we would do that. And then from that time on, it was kitchen table time of sketching with him and drawing cars and doing different stuff with him, where he took the time. My dad, unfortunately, always had a job where he worked nights, so he didn't get to spend a lot of after school time doing things. So the moments that he did spend with us, I felt like he picked quality things of like, I'm going to spend time and I'm going to give you something. You can,
Intentional time.
I think so. Maybe his, I don't, thinking about, maybe that wasn't specifically his intention, but it seemed thought out. Do you know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, totally. And any dad that has the same schedule as what you just described, which is usually a provider, usually,
Right. It was
somebody,
family first. Yep.
right. They might feel that same way where they don't, feel like they spend enough time. But
Right.
hearing through you and what stories you're connecting with now, it sounds like not only was it enough time, it was super impactful time. And man, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
For sure. I'm bummed that he didn't get to see any of this stuff that happened with what I did with it, what he showed me. He
Yeah.
was there at the sort of the beginning, when he first, again, in the early stages of him getting sick is where, where all Johnny Jalopy really kind of started, of the idea of maybe doing something kind of Johnny Jalopy-ish, but not as a business, is him and my parents. Here I am. I think I'm 30 years old, 35. They're like, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I could get my own stuff. What do I need from you guys? And they're like, just tell us. I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted. I've always wanted an airbrush. I always thought those guys at the fair are awesome who paint T-shirts, and I always
Yeah,
wanted to have my own
dude.
T-shirt business. Man, how cool would that be? And sure enough, that Christmas they bought me an airbrush, single airbrush, none of the equipment to do airbrushing. So it started very frustrating because I was like, none of this works. So I had, and again, right at the beginning of the internet and all that kind of stuff, I had self-taught myself how to do that. But there was the initial of like, hey, and the direction I took with that airbrush was automotive stuff. Let
Mm.
me do cars. Let me do things that are automotive. That's where the monsters and all the other things started coming out of me, where it's like, this is what I want to do, but I don't know if I could do it. You know what I mean?
It's the creative
Yeah.
process. You said something there, self-taught. What does self-taught actually mean to you?
It's where you have this desire to want to do something, and everything in you is you have this passionate desire to want to learn. And every door you open, someone goes, we're not going to show you that. You're not going to get that from us. Hey, we have put so much time in mastering this. The way you're going to get us the same way we did. We're not giving you no freebies. And I respected that part of it. But I also remember as the door shut going, if I ever get a chance, I'm not going to be that person. If
Yeah,
I get information, I'm going to be a share of information,
yeah.
because I bet you there's someone like me who really, really wants to learn and doesn't know how to go about doing it.
Hmm.
So self taught is, as doors kept getting shut in my face, I'm like, well, that's not going to stop me. I'm going to figure this out then. If it means I've got to go through failure after failure after failure after failure, if this is really what I'm passionate about, I'm not going to let that stop me. And in fact, it's going to drive me to do it and learn it. And then you throw in people who are like those that said, I don't even think you can do it, or, this is really hard. I'm like, now you're telling me I can't do it and I can't learn this. Now the fire's even grown even further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was their self-taught. It's having the passion and desire to want to learn a skill set, and you won't take no for an answer.
Biggest struggles in the beginning were doors closing, or was it something else that stands out when I asked that question?
Uh, Definitely doors closing and access to information. Because
Okay.
again, it's
On
not like it is today where you could just Google, "Hey, how do you do this?"
right, right.
It was like you had to find the thing that you wanted to do, and then you got to pray that the person that has the key to the gate
Yeah,
come on
right.
in. Come on in. We'll share this with you.
So,
And
so on that note, and speaking of kind of, a gatekeeper slash people, who were maybe some of the biggest early influencers in your life?
well, I definitely looked at the my big, like the heroes, art heroes were Big Daddy Ed Roth, George Barris, Bill Hines, all these amazing custom car builders, but that also kind of, there was some, especially Big Daddy Ed Roth. There was a lot of artwork involved. At the time, I didn't know the background of that whole situation and how he wasn't just the artist. He had like a whole crew of artists and a whole studio of people that worked for him that would draw things and put his name on it. And I thought it was him drawing it. Anyways, but there's the amazing part of learning about what you're passionate about. And then um, is the internet kind of started. I found these different automotive groups where there were automotive artists, and I would ask questions. And these were guys that were professional automotive artists and designers. And at the time, they were very much like, "Yeah, we're not your competition. Listen, if I tell you how to do this, then you're going to learn how to do it, and then you're another guy coming after what I'm doing,
Right.
because the group is very small, and we're in control of this, and we're not letting people in." And I was like, "Dang, I just want to know how to do it. I'm not coming after your job." But then at the same time, there were people like me who were seeking, who had a little bit more knowledge and were very forthcoming and like, "Hey, man, I can help you out." And those are the people I'll never forget. Those early uh, amazing artists that I followed like a puppy dog, and every day was asking them questions, and they were kind enough to go, "Yeah, Johnny, here's the answer," or "Hey, try this," or "Go look here." Um,
Awesome.
and that made me go, if I ever am in a position to where someone comes to me and says, "Johnny, how do you do this?" I'm going to go, "Well, let me show you." Because what's the point of keeping it to myself? I didn't get that part because it's not competition.
Yeah, and I think that is how you're wired, not necessarily how you are. Being a giver, somebody that's right? It's like people
I
find
think so,
their
for
people find
sure.
their passion, and like, let's just give it an example. A nurse. A nurse doesn't go become a nurse because they hate people,
Right. That's
right?
very
They become a nurse because they want to take care of people. Usually they're
right.
a nurturing type soul.
Right.
So, it's kind of what I hear when you describe that is, no, you saw the flaw in not sharing, and you're like, dude, if I ever get an opportunity to have a platform like this, I'm a ruffle everybody's feathers because I'm gonna share it.
Yeah. And there's so much so that I was like, yeah, anybody who wants information, I'm going to give you the full boat. I'm not going to make you jump through hurdles. But, at the same time, though, I'm also going to be if you're serious about it, come at me if you're serious about it. Let me know ahead of it. This is just something you want to, some hobby stuff. I'll help you there too. But if you're serious about doing, trying to do it as either, a furtherance of a hobby, a side hustle, maybe a starting of a business or something like that. I may not be the expert in it, but I'll give you all the information that I have up to this point. Maybe
I've
it'll
got
help
a
you
I've got a
go
super
further
cool
along.
story to share with you
Yeah.
about just this past year. I've got a 6-year-old who is a fantastic artist. He has taken some art classes. In fact, every Wednesday night, the reason why I can't do things on Wednesday nights is because I take him to art class where
Cool.
he's, learning to paint and shade and all this cool stuff. He's got some apps on the iPad where he's learning about shading and drawing fish and animals and, faces and all of that stuff.
Nice.
At 6, bro, he's talented. So just this last year, just a few months ago, in a couple of the VW shows I went to, one specifically up in Sanford. Had about 200, maybe 250 cars. My buddy Jason Davis puts that show together. I brought August, which is my son's name. And August likes to take his sketching, book, and he likes to go sit down in front of his favorite cars. He picks them.
Cool.
He loves Volkswagens. He'll sit down in front of his favorite Volkswagens and he'll draw them. And then after he draws them and colors them in, he goes up and he hands them to the owner and he says, "Give me money."
Oh,
Right. So, I was you never want to mess up an artist's, flow like that and or do
right.
anything to detour their creativity, right? So I'm like, look, I'm gonna stand with them and I'm gonna let him ask for the money. And I don't care. You're either gonna say no or you're gonna say, hey, that's cute. Dude, he's
Right.
making like $35, which for a 6-year old is like $1 million,
Yeah,
right?
man.
So he collects this money and he's so excited and motivated to be, this artist and draw cars because it's his favorite thing to do that we
Right.
go back to my podcast tent and we sit down and I'm like, I'm so proud of you, buddy. Man, break that money out. Let's count it again. He goes, uh-oh, I dropped it.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's the story. But man, he's a cool kid. I'm sure if you ever come to one of the shows, you'll meet him and you
Oh,
guys
that would be awesome. Yeah.
have a cool conversation. All right. Enough of me. Back to you. Let's touch on this because I think this is pretty cool because it's also
Sure.
part of your inspiration. Why were cartoon cars so, I guess, powerful to you?
Because there's no rules.
Ooh, good answer.
Yeah, that's what's really drawn me to doing cartoon type stuff. When I got into drawing automotive stuff and doing people's portraits of people's cars, immediately I was like, if I cartoon them, they'll be different and they'll be a nod to my heroes, Ed Roth, those guys, Ed Newton, all those dudes. But then I started really realizing the whole reason why they got into what they were doing, there were no rules. The car could be skewed, the wheels could be turned, the engine could be bigger than it really is. You don't have to make a specific driver drive a car. You could have monsters, fish, turtles,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you could drive a car.
What
It
a
can
cool point to
it,
even bring up,
yeah,
like nobody thinks of that.
you can
Yeah.
put it, you can make it an airplane, you can make it a boat. There's just no rules to any of it. And then when you really start thinking about color and lines and difference, as long as it gives a representation of where somebody can look at it and go, oh, okay, that's a 66 VW, but a bug that's full fendered. I see that, but there's all this other stuff going on. Um, that's the part I really loved about it, was there was no rules, and it led to freedom to express my own voice. Versus if I do a portrait of a vehicle, which I've seen lots, and there are some amazing. Oh, I wish I had some of their talent to be able to draw a car so accurate that it looks like a photograph. You know what I mean? But it's for me, it seemed, again, for me, there's some staleness to it because it's like, well, you could just take a photo or I could just look at it and I could see the same thing. Where with what I'm doing and others that like me, mine looks different than the other guys, even if it's the same car. You could take 10 custom culture artists and say draw, 32 Ford, and they're all going to draw it totally different.
Yeah, so
Or
cool.
maybe two might be very close because you can see where their reference or their influences
Right.
are the same influence, but yet there's still a different voice between the two of them.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's awesome.
That's why
So
it's my favorite. There's no
so
rules.
so cool to even think, about the possibilities, I guess, that's where I'm not really an artist, but I imagine the possibilities and, I watch my son evolve and do the things that he does. And I'm like, how do you even like see that type of stuff yet? At 6,
Right.
he'll be 7 in July, but how do you even get there? It's like it's just so cool, man. I love the artistic mind. Um, yeah, so maybe in your own vehicles, when did you start kind of stepping out of what would be considered the norm in your own cars?
Yeah, it was definitely. I don't want mine to look like anybody else's. I want it to be where it's a statement piece, and I think anybody that gets into doing, that gets into the automotive hobby, you can tell the people that are like, hey, I don't mind buying off the showroom, and I put a stripe on it. They're like, I don't want it to be too changey because I don't want, I still want it to, but you can see the people that go, listen, I'm gonna make this thing where you go, man, who did that, or why did you do this, or what were the decisions made? I mean, there are those people that throw throw the parts counter at it, but then there's the ones where you really see and you can go, there's thought behind choices, even with off the shelf accessories down to custom stuff, like you talk about the guy with the stitching of the seats, to sweat that detail so much, to go, hey, there may be another VW that's like mine, and it may have the same color interior, but does it have the VW stitching in the upholstery? No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Hey, Alan's an artist, bro.
Right,
You
that's
know?
what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to sweat, to look at that small detail of an upholstered seat and go, here's where it's going to put me different than another bug
Yeah.
or machine.
So sick too, man.
It's those, and but then you get the wacky people like me that go, okay, how do I take that, and then might maybe even make a few people mad or irritated that I did this, and go, what was he thinking? And then they go, oh, that's what he was thinking. That's actually kind of cool. I
Yeah.
never thought about doing that, or I didn't have the courage to make a choice like that.
So
So that's the fun part.
on that note, did people kind of understand your style early on, or was it more of, no, you're kind of pissing some people off?
Really, what happened with my style in the beginning was first and foremost, I got told, because when I came into the custom culture time that I came in, digital art was just starting. There wasn't many guys dabbling in digital. So when I came in, all the old guard, all the traditionalists of automotive and custom culture artwork was like, we don't do that here. You either ink and pen and paint and do that kind of thing. We don't do that. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Now I'm really gonna do it. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
post and I'm gonna post and I'm gonna post and I'm gonna post. And it became like I was obsessive. Like, I'm gonna master this thing, because this is where it's all going. There's no denying that technology is what we continually move along with technology.
Mhm.
So I wasn't against, but at the same time, though, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn your ink and pen stuff too, and I'm gonna figure out how to master that as well, so that I become now multifaceted and you'll be singular faceted. And now that you thought I was this competition, now I'm really gonna be your competition, because I can do your job, I can do what you do, but I can also do what I do. And then while I'm doing that, let me go see what other types of art I can learn: ink, oil, acrylic, airbrush, enamels, pinstriping. I'm gonna. I may not be good at them at some, or great at them, but I have dabbled in each and every one of them, and still am learning how to master them, because that's my goal. Is I want to be, when you look at Johnny's list of tools and arsenal of weapons, I'm multifaceted. Where somebody else, oh, well, I can draw a pencil. Well, that's great, cool. Can you do this? Oh, you can't. That's too bad. So that was a. And then what started the best, the most victorious part of it was years later. Some of the older guys were coming to me going, "Hey, Johnny, I really, I'm trying to figure this digital thing out. Can you give me a hand?" And I was like, "Absolutely, it would be my honor to help you." Because I was like, yeah, the ones that were talking shit to me before
That's right.
now are coming to me for some help, and I'm going to do that with I'm going to kill them with kindness.
So you got your chance. You said it in the
Yeah,
beginning. If I ever get the opportunity, and then the opportunity presented itself, and you
yeah.
did it. Good stuff, man.
But it folded, and it still came back, because then the doors started opening, where there was more chances of, where I could ask questions and people were a little more forthcoming. Like there's an artist that I absolutely, he was untouchable for the longest time, where I'd ask him questions and he would just not pay much attention. And then someday, I had messaged him about a question, and he goes, "Yeah, Johnny, you do this." And I'm like, something happened with me and him that I don't know, either I earned enough credit where he was like, that guy's taking this serious and I'm going to help him now. I don't know what happened, but I was like, this is really amazing. I can't believe this guy's talking to me. So, anyways, I'm not going to name names, but an artist that I followed and was just like, God, this guy's amazing. And he finally, kind of helped me out on a few things, which was really awesome.
What do you think the difference is between copying inspiration and developing your own voice as an artist?
Your own voice is definitely like I've got. There's a group of I've got. I hate to use the word fans. I've got guys that I know that follow my artwork, and I've seen their progression. Where I'm like, well, I can see who your inspiration is. That's a lot of like my stuff. And at first I was like, oh, this is, are they trying to copy me? But then I was like, no, I can see where they're just trying to work through their voice. Because I did the same thing. I was like in the beginning trying to be very much Ed Newton and Ed Roth and the guys that worked for Roth. And then it was just like, I gotta find my voice. So the voice, your own voice is the most important thing. But there in the beginning, as long as you give credit where credit is due, in my opinion, if
Mm.
you say, hey, listen, I was inspired by this and I'm working on my trying to get my voice and you put it out there, I think that is where, okay, you're good. But if you're, hey, look at this cool new art I did, and you're like, dude, that's a rip off of somebody else. That's when I have a little bit of a problem with that part.
Okay. When you draw a car,
Mm-hmm.
tell me what you're first looking at. I mean, do you notice stance? Do you notice lines? Do you notice personality? Like what are you looking at?
I look at it all. To be honest, my wife gets annoyed anytime we go to any like we'll be in a parking lot and we'll be just going in to get groceries and I'll stop. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hold on a second," because I'm like just taking mental photos. I'm like,
So crazy, man.
the Dodge Charger, the way the rear portion that comes, or I'll have a conversation with her. Like we on our podcast, we've been talking about. I'm so sick and tired. I made it like it'll never go anywhere. I'm like, can we in the automotive industry enough with the SUV? You're telling me there with all the amount of designers that are out there, nobody can do a two-door car anymore. Nobody can make a really great looking vehicle. We're just going to keep doing boxes and toasters driving around everywhere. Really, that's the best we can do, or specific cars. I'm like, what were we? For instance, the new Corvette, the newest body style, from front to the back, amazing in design. But you flip that thing and you look at it from the rear of that car, what happened? If I want a Camaro, I would have just bought a Camaro. They just took the back of a Camaro and stuck it on a Corvette. And I'm like, that really? For the amount of money that was in that car and the amount of design work that took to make a mid-engine, the vehicle the way it is, and then we just stop right at the rear quarter panels and onto the end and go do nothing else. We just go, slap a Camaro on it. And those guys get paid how much money? I would have been, yeah, if I was in that GM office, I'd have been, listen, designers, we can do better than this. Have you seen the back of a? You don't own a Corvette, do you?
Oh, no, I don't, but
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
Right.
just that boxy,
It's a big box with
yeah,
with four circles just
yeah,
to make nod to the Corvette, which I get. Hey,
yes.
listen, I get the retro ideas of that. Okay, that's
You
all
know,
well
as a
and good.
matter of fact, to come to think of it now, I got to tell you, I was at a red light the other day. My son, my 6 year old, he sees them and oh Corvette, because it looks like
Mhm.
to a 6 year old. But
Oh, absolutely.
I remember sitting at the red light and I'm looking at it and I'm literally going like, what's the big deal?
Hmm.
What's the big deal? And when you just said that, I connected with my thought of looking at the rear end and the
That
box, and I'm just like, I mean, not for that much money, man. I just can't see
I
it.
had I had never seen one in person when that first body style came out, that first new mid engine. I
Mhm.
never seen one, and I was on the freeway, 75, and one was coming up behind me, and I'm like, man, that thing looks mean. It's really low to the. They did. Oh, okay, and it went by me, and it got in front of me, and I went, oh, really?
That's absolutely
And so
funny.
then I caught back up to it, and I looked at it again, and I'm like, man, right where you can see the body seam, where that rear end piece, because everything's plastic now. not fiberglass anymore, whatever it's made out of. But where that rear body seam is, I'm like, that's literally the Camaro rear end.
You
Maybe with
just
a little bit of tweaking, but it was like, was it a time crunch, fellas at GM? And
the
I've given them how many models we've had. I mean, how many versions have we had since that first initial change, and it still hasn't changed. I'm like, we still haven't. No one has called anybody out. Anyway,
the plastic bumper thing. I had to get used to that myself in GM cars. Well, it's in all cars now, but I had a Suburban back in like I don't know, '08, '09.
a tank,
Newer body style, wasn't metal bumpers. I didn't know that. In Colorado, where I was at the time, this was probably 2010 actually. Where I was at, in Colorado, it gets cold, very cold in the winters. And I remember being in this Suburban and kind of having some fun in the snow and getting it slung out and being a little wild and having fun with a 4x4 in the snow. And then I remember slamming into the first thing I ran into, and the bumper literally cracked like it was glass.
right?
And it
Yeah,
shattered everywhere. I was like, "What? You
yeah.
didn't dent? You shattered? Like what the fuck is that? You
And
shattered?"
luckily, no airbags went off because that's the next, but
Yeah,
that's the whole
no.
safety thing.
Thankfully that didn't happen, but yeah, no, no. But that's good
So
stuff.
this is how my brain works. Like for instance, if you look at a lot of the new BMW and Mercedes, I'm like, is the guys that are drawing, they look like a Kia. Like they used to have really swoopy European styling,
Right.
and like the last one I just saw was a Mercedes, four-door Mercedes, and it was a box. And I'm like, what happened?
Daimler Chrysler is what happened.
Well, yeah, I know. American influences. It was supposed to be the other way around. We were supposed to take the influences from them. And
Yeah,
anyways,
right.
but that's how my brain works. I look at those things, and those are the things that I just really key in on. And as others are like, oh my God, so beautiful. I'm like, oh, not really.
So how do you see attitude in a vehicle?
It will stance is the first.
Okay.
Stance is the first where there's attitude. Um, because I mean, you can take, I mean, listen, you can take almost anything and put the correct wheel tire package on it and the correct stance, and that car will have attitude
Mm.
for sure. You get that wrong, and there's a lot of people that do. Sadly, that's how my brain works. Um,
No, it happens.
and you just go, oh, you were almost there.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
I'm on this ranting thing right now that I'm going through in my automotive design brain. I'm so over big tires and wheels. I'm so over like everything that's being done right now. Every project that's going to SEMA, every build that's being done, everybody's doing the same exact things. What happened to individuality, a voice, stance, uh, all that stuff? What happened to it? No, we're just going to put 26-inch wheels and really rubber band tires, and everybody's going to do it. We're going to do it on everything. CT rubber band tires, 22-inch wheels. Oh, Volkswagen 22-inch. We're gonna do. Oh, is it the new Corvette? Yeah, let's throw some 26-inch wheels on it with rubber band. It's all the same shit. I'm over it. See how I'm saying? I will, and that'll piss people off. And I'm sorry. Sorry,
Oh,
anybody out there who's got running that.
no, I don't think it will. I think there's probably a lot of guys that are also over it because there's a lot of guys that kind of even question why would you put 18-inch Porsche wheels on a Beetle, right? They
Yeah,
kind of question the move because you have to go really small with the
yeah.
tires. You might even have to get fiberglass fenders that even extend a little bit, or you're not fitting them, right? So people question that a lot. Personally, I think they look good. I think anything past 18,
Be sorry, man. I didn't mean to offend you.
no, 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 it's okay. I think past 18, you're starting to push a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't think a bus looks good with large wheels
I agree.
at all. Matter of fact, let's even go a little smaller, a 14, 15-inch rim. One of my favorite wheels is, and it's just being remade now by BBT, is the Empy Sprint Star. the original chrome with the black powder coat. I
Yeah.
think, just in my opinion, one of the sexiest wheels on a Volkswagen ever, ever.
Yeah.
15 inch, man. I mean, 5 inches wide. Like, enough of the
Right.
of all that tire on the road. I get it. I do for a lot of the guys that are into that. And I'm from lowrider culture, but true lowrider culture is 13 inch, baby. 100
Yeah.
spoke Dayton's. Let's go. Right? That's real
Where
rider
s-
is
it's
going real small and wiry.
static. That way you could do static or hydraulic if you need to do
That's right.
hydraulic.
And you could
And the
twist them
whole
all kinds of ways and bounce them, and you had enough tire to get away with it. And yeah,
and the
yeah.
whole purpose is what when you were parked or whether you were rolling, there was enough wheel tuck that the car looked low that still had attitude and stance as it's rolling too.
Yeah.
Where that's the thing, like everybody's, and I get the whole even the whole thing of trying to just even everybody laying frame on every single thing. Nothing sexier to me than an old 60s bug where you've got the narrowed beam, the wheels are tucked in super nice, so the fenders just are just like waterfalls over the top of the wheels, and they're just tucked in so good. It's just nothing with maybe a little bit of a rake, just a little teeny, because again, California, so a little SoCal vibe to it. But even if it's a leveled stance, just to have a little bit of that wheel tuck, and you got to have a lip on the rim, so there's a little bit of something showing.
Hmm.
Just nothing sexier than that to me.
No, I'm with you.
But you can transform that look into, again, you could take 80s C10, throw a 15, even as you said, 17-inch wheel with a decent, not a huge lip, a little bit of a lip, tuck the wheel. You don't have to do many modifications to the frame, or it'll still drop and it'll still look sexy as all get out.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, I'm with you, and I agree
my
with you.
wife is my wife is so tired of us on our podcast, me talking about wheels and tires and stance and stuff. She's like, "Can we get to move on to something else?" I'm like, until it's fixed.
That is my conversation, man. I love wheels, tires, and stance. In fact, I sit on Facebook Marketplace probably more hours in a day than I ever should, and I'm always looking for opportunities with wheels. I
Yeah,
mean, dude,
yeah, yeah,
always because hey, man, I'm a car guy, so I'm always looking for opportunities. I'm going to find
yeah,
somebody that's giving away something somewhere. I
yeah.
just am. If I look hard enough, I promise you, I will. All right.
That's
So
awesome.
your process for art, emotional or technical?
Both. Definitely the emotional. Like my head's got to be in the right spot. I've got to. It's got to. When I look at whatever I'm done with, I have to have a good feeling about it. But there has to be some technical stuff. But here's the thing with, as you know, because you're familiar with a little bit of my art. Like my voice is, I call it, it's detail without detail. There's a lot of things that aren't super fleshed out into major amounts of detail in a lot of the art that I do, because my voice is where I put stuff down, and I'm hoping your brain puts things into it as well. So you're not only looking at what I'm trying to say, the story I'm trying to tell, but
Right.
you're also filling in a lot of the lines that maybe I didn't put in there because it's just, I'm not trying to be as detailed about stuff as possible.
That's what art does.
It's detail without detail has been my jam.
Oh, so in the technical aspects, you used a projector for some of your art, right?
Back in the day when I was learning airbrush and stuff, or if I was doing murals, a projector was the big thing. And now with digital stuff, you can. I mean, even in tattoo, you could do light box where you're taking images off of it. But a lot of times I'll pre-sketch something, or maybe project something, and then I'm immediately going, okay, how can I manipulate this in a different way so that it doesn't look exactly like this photo or this reference I'm using.
I went to
It looks different.
high school with the Vitale brothers. Uh,
Okay.
Joey was the youngest brother, and then there's two older brothers. They are massive mural artists all over St. Pete. Vitale Bros is like their
Okay. I
and
think I've seen some of their stuff. Yes.
yeah, super sick, just
Yeah.
next level, massive sides of buildings type artist. But here was the point, because we're on technology. is recently one of the brothers had moved out to like Austin, Texas, and he was showing on video how he can put on a VR headset
Yep.
and stare at the wall, and he
Yeah.
can see where he's supposed to walk over and go fill in his lines to start his painting. Holy shit. When you talk
Yeah.
progression in art, like what? I've
Yeah.
never in my life. I'm like, bro, and you're sharing that too? Like what? That's just next level, man.
Yeah. Not the days of like you got to wait till it's dark or you go into a closet. I mean, I remember in the early stages of airbrushing because I wanted to, get like lettering and specific things very, very crisp and clean. Where I'd have to go into my closet, shut the doors, hit a projector, and it'd be in there, with a thing behind you and trying not to, draw over your own shadow.
Yeah, get in the
And it
light.
was
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
totally,
could envision
there was a
that.
whole thing to it. And then, as you get into, now we have, digital, affordable desktop, plotters and cutters where you can, that you can make stencils and things that you need to help you with, putting things on materials and utilizing painting stuff. And then as we get into digital now, yeah, that VR, I don't. It's amazing to me a lot of the graffiti artists and muralists that are utilizing that stuff
Yeah.
versus the old technique of having to, put different little check marks and stuff, and then they take a photo of that and then superimpose their design over the top and then try to connect lines. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, yeah, the VR thing is amazing. I haven't got to experience it yet, but I can only imagine.
Sick. Sick. And again, I'm not an artist, so to be able to watch how that evolved in somebody that's already a fantastic mural artist,
Right.
very well known across the country, to be able to take, something that would, in a sense, kind of make the job a lot easier, in my opinion,
Sure.
and lean into it instead of being
Sure.
like, no, fuck that, we'll do it the old way.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of artists in that realm of art that are going, I'm not touching that VR stuff.
Yeah, right. Which was cool because
Yeah.
I'm all right with that
Yeah,
stance.
sure.
But I like better that the Vitali brothers are that they were willing to,
Well, it's
you
such a cool tool. I mean, it
sure.
still takes their talent to lay, it may be putting an image up ahead of them and they can see what they're doing, but it still takes once it's all laid out, and I'll bet you they probably only use it for layout, which is just to get the
Yeah, that's
shapes
it.
and
Just
things,
yeah,
and then
that's
the head
exactly
that
what he's
goes
doing.
away, and then it's all them.
Filling in. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's basically what they show in their videos is they look at it on the wall and it's like the corners of letters or the corners of some shapes, and it's like the things that I would never see because I'm not an artist, but it's those lines that they see that have to go in those certain places that, like you just said, then the glasses come off and now they got to go stand on their ladders and fill all that shit in. And
Right.
that's where the real, artist and experience, I'm sure, really lies.
Yeah, those guys, that's another one of those in my arsenal of tools is one that I want to learn how to do is graffiti, a mural with spray can. Like
Dude.
I've painted so many cars with spray cans, so I'm totally familiar with painting with rattle can, but never actually done much artwork with it. And that's the thing. Also, the next level of what I'm trying to do. I've always done small uh, projects, and I'm now trying to go into making bigger art. And that's an interesting transition of like expanding and making things bigger
I've been
when you're so
watching
used to doing small stuff.
I've been watching some of your socials, even recently, and I love the reveal.
Oh,
I love
I
the
did,
reveal
I'm
art.
doing that as a total gag.
Are you really? It's
I did
it's
it.
entertaining.
I did it because on Instagram and artists who are doing the whole 47-inch painting and they're flipping it around and they're so serious.
Oh,
If you
you got these little ones, and
if
yeah,
you watch
I
me,
get it.
they're little teeny ones, and
Yeah.
if you look at my face, I'm like, isn't this cool? So
Shit, bro. I thought you were selling the art. I'm like,
no,
yeah.
listen. It's helped. In fact, my daughter was like, "Dad, I love that you're kind of not making fun of it. That you're not taking it serious. It kind of makes it where you want to watch it." I'm like, "Great!" Then
I
I'm
swear to God, that's
two,
how I
two
thought too.
birds,
I'm
one
like, this dude's
stone.
having a blast with this.
Yeah,
I'm locked in. I've been looking
so
at checking them
it's
out.
so fun. Yeah, it's been fun doing some of that stuff too. I don't take much things too serious, as you could tell.
Let's talk about painting on river rocks because that's
Oh,
even
sure.
something I can connect with because you see that sometimes, right? Like recently, I'll tell you this story. I was at Disney and I walked over to the trash can to throw something away, and I just look over to the right and I'm like, oh shit, there's a painted rock over there on the.
Yeah.
I end up picking up the rock and it's got, a hashtag on it. So I go hashtag and go find this Facebook page with like 2 million people on it. And these
Yeah.
people got rocks all over the country. I'm like, man, this is cool. So I end up
Yeah.
taking a picture of it while it's in my hand. And
That's cool.
I post it to Facebook and, I think a few people from, that land had commented on it. And it's interesting to hear from how far in the depths of Canada that rock made it to Disney
Right.
in freaking Orlando. But when I saw that in your backstory, I'm like, man, I'm putting this question in there because I want to hear about river rocks. Like where the artist stimulation or the idea come from?
So, uh, my ex-wife and I were trying to do a weekend project, like something fun just to do as a couples thing. And my mom had this craft book that she got at some, she probably got it at a garage sale for like 2 cents or something. And we were flipping through this book, and there was all these rocks painted with acrylic paint. I'm like, well, that's kind of neat. I wonder if I could find some rocks that were like in the shape of like squares, and I could do like garages. I could draw, a car on a rack and some tires and different stuff. And so where we lived in Santa Maria, there's the Santa Maria riverbed, and we took a little drive out there to the Santa Maria riverbed, got out, and there was thousands of rocks in different shapes, all free. So we took a milk crate out there and just loaded up all these interesting shapes of rocks and brought them home. And just as a goof, we went to the craft store and bought some paint and sat down at a table and started painting them. And so we were looking at some of them. They were like, "Oh, these are pretty cool." And I think we set some out in front of our house, and one of our neighbors was like, "Oh, that's really neat. Do you sell those?" And we're like, "Sell them? Sell them?" So we did like 50 of them and took them to the swap meet and sold like 45 of them and made like $300 or some shit. And we're like, huh, painting our river rocks. So the big one was I found this rock that looked like a locomotive, and I painted it to look like one of the Santa Fe locomotives. And I took it back to the swap meet. And just as a goof, I put like $250 in it. And a guy came up and paid $250 for a rock that
Let's
I
go, dude.
and I was like, oh, we could do this as a business. Well, as it goes, then it's like you got to go get rocks, and then you got to come back, and then you got to sit for hours and paint rocks. It was fun, but then it became a chore, and we were out of the river rock business pretty quick. But I still have in my studio, I still have one of my river rocks that I painted like a Ford gas station. Still have it from
Wow.
that time, just because it was fun. But we sold. I mean, there's somewhere in California, there's a bunch of our river rocks.
Did you sign them?
I think I did, but I probably signed him as John back then. I didn't have any fancy name. It was just John. Yeah, it was pretty funny, but it was a good time. It was a fun little hobby, and but it was the continual thing of like entrepreneurial things of like I could do side hustles and make extra money, and artwork was a fun way to do it. But it was still I still wasn't taking any of the art, like doing an art thing as a business seriously. I was still like, it's just a hobby. Yeah, it's not like it is now.
So let's
The whole thing.
fa- I'm sure this will be a little bit of a fast forward in your life, but let's touch on overhauling for a second because most of us that listen to this podcast are going to know what overhauling is and who Chip Foose is. But what was it about Chip's renderings that kind of flipped the switch for you as an artist?
Well, it was to watch him go from zero on the page, maybe a reference in front of him, to go from nothing on a page to a loose sketch to a more defined sketch to a full fleshed out sketch, and then watch him make customization changes before even touching any pieces of steel. And I was like, man, that's really cool. Get the idea and flesh out the idea before you even get into actually doing anything on the vehicle. And then just some of his design choices, and because Foose was kind of really kind of ahead of his time, and then he kind of got stuck in a niche, and he's now Foose does what Foose does. But um
That was kind of cool. It's Foose is what Foose does.
Foose is what Foose does, yeah. And which is there's another where you can look at a thing and go, that's a Chip Foose design or a
It
paint job or a concept.
yeah.
That's totally Foose deal. So I mean, whether people like him or don't like him, because there's a lot of people that don't like what he does, and there's some design things that now that I have a flavor and a voice of my own that I loved before, that I now go, I would have done something a little different, but I still just appreciate what he does and how he does it. And just that whole design to concept to reality thing was like, man, that's so cool. Maybe one day that'll happen. I could do that. Maybe one day that far-fetched dream would come to reality. Maybe one day, but that's for the pros. That'll never happen.
In your earlier years, somebody gave you a Wacom pad. How do I say that?
Yeah. Whack 'em.
A
Whack
whack,
'em.
a whack.
Whack 'em bad.
Okay.
I think everybody says it differently.
So listeners might not know what that is. Can you do two things for me? One, describe what it is, and then
Sure.
two, describe what it unlocked for you as an artist.
So in the beginnings of drawing digitally using a computer to draw, um, there was no way to directly draw into a computer. You had to have some sort of device that would translate a, you moving a pen or a stylus around to create a drawing on a computer. So, this is the early stages of digital art. A friend of mine had bought one for some, and I think wasn't even to draw. It was just sign stuff. You could do a digital signature. So this is all predating the digital signatures that we have today. This was where you would actually take a physical pen and it would look like you drew it on the computer. And so we had this thing laying around. He's like, I got this thing that I think people use it to draw. Do you want it? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I took it. I mean, it literally is a square pad. The drawing surface was like 4x6, maybe, or 5x7.
Wow. So it's
And then
literally
you would
for a signature.
correct. And then it on the screen, whatever program you were using, and I learned in Photoshop. This is the early stages of Photoshop, where it was moving the cursor on, with a black color on a white surface, and it would mimic what you drew. But I would have to look above and I'd be drawing here. So in the early stages of trying to learn how to use this thing, because it came with no instructions. This is early internet, so it wasn't like I could. How do you use a Y compact?
Right.
There was none
Google.
of that. Nobody that I worked with, or other than the person that gave it to me, knew anything about it. So the first thing I tried was I had done a little drawing on a 4x6 thing, and I tried to trace my drawing on the 4x6 thing, and that didn't work. Didn't translate. I was like, okay, what if I, okay, maybe I take a picture of my drawing and I put it into Photoshop, and then I have my Photoshop picture. Looks like a photo of my my drawing, and then I could trace that drawing with the Wacom pad. But then it was learn how to look up, not at my eye hand coordination. So weird.
Wow. Whack.
It took years just to learn. It took probably a good two, 3 months of just trying to understand that. And then that turned into actually learning to draw physically using the pad itself, looking up, to the point then the art progressed and I was able to utilize it to do other stuff with it. And then I started creating artwork with it, where it was, painting and shading and different textures and different things, because I started learning little things about just by accident. Oh, that does this. Oh, holy cow, I could do this.
Right.
A lot of trial and error.
Wow.
And then I started, creating artwork. And it all came, and this is the crazy thing. So I got this Wacom pad from a friend. The girl that is now Itty B, now my wife, who I was just started dating her. I went to her house and she had an old busted laptop, no screen, just the keyboard part that this Wacom pad would plug into. But she had an old crappy monitor that was laying around in her garage. And she goes, "You could use this." And she made a little drawing space for me. And she gave me this little computer station to learn how to draw at her house. We're just dating. I mean, she really reeled me in on that. She had me hooked. She
Smart
made it.
girl.
She had a space for me. Anyway, so she made this all available, and I just taught myself how to use it. And then it led to I drew a couple pieces. We figured out how to print it on paper, little 8x10s. And we went to a car show, and she's like, "You should bring your art one day and just take it to a car show and see what happens." I'm like, "No one's gonna want to look at this garbage." And she's like, just put them in a folder. And next time we go, next Saturday, I think it was like a Friday or a Saturday night thing we would go to, just put your book on the hood of your car and let people look at it. Like, I don't know about all that. And I did. And next thing I know, some guy goes, "Hey, can you draw my car?" And I was like, "Sure, I could draw your car." I had no idea how to draw his car. So I taught myself how to draw the guy's car, and he paid me money. And I'm like, "This Johnny Jalopy's going. We're doing it. Now we're doing it. We're moving. The promise I made my dad, it's happening.
Oh
It's
man.
happening now."
Yes.
Yeah.
You taught yourself Photoshop as well.
Yeah.
The self-taught stuff, I think it's just I think it's so cool to have that level of commitment because any of that stuff. So let's talk about personalities for a second.
Sure.
I'm a very fast-paced type guy. I've worked in sales my whole life. My wife and I own a real estate company. I'm the mouth, she's the brains.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, when I think about software programs and that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh fuck no, I'll pay somebody to do that. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't have to. So when I read your backstory and I'm like, damn, he self-taught this, self-taught. I'm like, fuck, his personality is just so different than mine from the perspective of I just don't see myself having the patience to lock in like that. So,
Yeah.
I commend you for that. But
Well,
let's talk
thank you.
about digital for a second. What
Sure.
does digital give you as far as advantages? Yeah,
There's so many advantages to digital artwork, and it's why the industry is so changed to where digital is the leader now versus a lot of hand done, because it's so much more cost effective. So this was the argument I would have with the old timers, that were the gatekeepers. It was like, listen,
yeah,
you've got to go spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on materials every single time you use your pencil, every time you use a marker, every time you do a thing. You're it's those aren't limitless. Those have limits. Eventually, it's going to run out of whatever that is. You're going to run out of lead, ink. You're going to have to go buy more paper. You're limited to the size paper that you're drawing on. Digitally, I could make it as big or as small as I want. I can make it as many textures and colors as I want. I am limitless as paper or the surfaces to draw on. I have limitless paint. I have limitless ink. I have limitless graphite. I have limit. It's all limitless. I could mess up and erase it and start over. You mess up and erase it, and you're like, "Oh no, I got so far." You know what I mean? Now their thing was, well, yeah, but you're using the computer to cheat, and I'm like, and that's the thing for me. It wasn't until I really learned how to do stuff that I found ways that you could take some shortcuts. But from the beginning, it was like literally doing the same exact thing they were doing, just in a digital way. But that was the beauty of it. I could take my little 8x10 thing I had, and I could take it to Staples and make it 3 times as big, which meant I could charge 3 times as much, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Where they were like the artists that I knew that were hand drawing, were they were like all the things that they sold were 8x10, and I'm like, mine are 17x11. I'm giving them a larger piece to put in their garage or wherever, but I'm not charging them anymore because it doesn't cost me as much to make it. So that was the other thing I did too, was like, I was like, I'm not only going to do this digital stuff and create automotive art, but I'm going to do it for the everyday guy. Not the guy that collects $2,000 art pieces, but the guy that would go, I'll pay $25 to put that in my garage. And if
right.
it sits in someone's garage and not in their house or their man cave or whatever, but it's in their garage where they spend time building on cars and they're working on stuff and I'm up in a little teeny corner with my little drawing in their garage. Holy cow, I am in the best place I could be.
You,
That
you,
was my dream. If I
you
could
made
just get
it.
into these
Yeah.
garages.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think about a Johnny Jalopy rendering makes it unmistakable?
Well, again, I think it's the voice that I have. Hopefully, it's you can see the style of the detail without detail, that it doesn't look like other people's stuff, even regardless of what medium I'm doing, whether it's digital or acrylic or ink and pen. It's you can see that it's mine. And that was the thing I used to do too, is I was posting things on the internet, and I started seeing some of my artwork coming and showing up on internet, and I would scroll through all my favorite artists, and I would just scroll looking at all the different automotive art, praying I'd see one of my pieces, but also praying I could tell my piece from their piece. And I go, oh, there I am. And I don't look anything like anybody else's.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah,
So the more I can kind of keep myself not looking like others, but nods to all my heroes. That's the best thing.
it's so different to me, and it's so
I appreciate that.
it's so
I try.
signature. Like we couldn't wait to see what your rendering was going to be for the pier. And by the way, anybody listening, I've had a ton of VW shows from all over the country with hundreds, if not thousands, of cars that go to them. You guys that are listening, get in touch with this guy and have him do your artwork, please, because you will not be disappointed. So back to the story, me and Alan were like, "Did you check the email today? Did he get it back yet?" We're like, "Not yet." We're like, "Shit, man, it's going to come over soon." We were so excited to see the first rendering. When we saw it, we were both like, "Oh my God, that's it." Like, we didn't even want to have to respond and say, change this or change that.
Sure.
We didn't. It was so good and
Oh,
so spot on for the what we were looking to capture for the pier. And then you're like, "Oh, well, I even did one better for you. I made you a sticker too." And it was the side shot of like the parade.
yeah, the little parade.
Come
Yeah,
on, dude. I mean, what? Yeah,
yeah.
so awesome. So awesome. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to do that. And again, that was when you guys contacted me, I'm like, man, something local in my area where I don't, not a lot of people know, because I love to go to the shows and be at shows, and a lot of times I don't bring, like, I think to my wife, why aren't we bringing stuff? And then there's times like, well, I don't want to bring things because then I'm not going to be able to just be at the show and be a car guy, because I want to do that too.
Right.
There's a lot of where I haven't shared enough of my stuff locally, to where I think people know my art locally. So
Yeah,
my goal is in this year and last year I've been trying to do more stuff, but just when you think you got goals of things, then other things come in and
of course.
you
That's that.
derail and you're off doing other stuff.
Yes, such is life. Hopefully, you'll do the peer, artwork for next January for 27, and hopefully you come and you set up
Yeah, I
and
would love to do
yeah,
that. That would
hit
be
a vendor
amazing.
booth and set up and let everybody understand and recognize who you are and how awesome your artwork
Well,
is.
again, I can't thank you guys enough for giving me the opportunity to
Oh
at
man,
least get
of
get
course.
an opportunity to do that, because what a cool show, and to be a part of that is
That's the
I
Volkswagen.
feel very honored.
Yeah, man. That's how VW community rolls, bud. You know that.
I do.
Yeah, I know you do. That's why we got in touch with you. I want to touch on your buddy for a second, Ian Roussel.
Yep.
I don't know. Let's maybe talk to me just a little bit about the relationship slash how it evolved, how you met. Like,
Sure.
I think his social media following is pretty vast.
Yeah, his YouTube channel and yeah, his all social media is
Yeah.
pretty giant. That guy's been he's been a car guy's guy for a long time. Um, I I was a fan of Ian back in the MySpace days. I found his DVDs of automotive building before I got my first hot rod, and wanted to start customizing. I got one of his things and was watching it. I'm like, oh my god, this guy makes it look so easy, and he's using very limited tools that I have in my own garage, and he's just making cool stuff. Man, if he could do that, I could do that. So I immediately was like, oh, dude, I gotta, me being me, I gotta pick this guy's brain and ask him questions and see if he'll help me. Well, and of course, I got nowhere. So I was a fan of his and for the longest time, and was doing my art and creating artwork and stuff like that. And one day I follow him on social media. Um, my inbox on Facebook just lit up with people that was following my art, and they're like, "You're not gonna believe this, man." But Ian Russell just posted a picture of one of your drawings, and it alluded to like he's gonna build it, and I'm like, "Shut up!" And there, so I was like, okay, well, let me go to his page, and sure enough, there's a photograph of mine, which was a black and white drawing that I was on the internet. And apparently, one of his clients that he had that lived in Canada ran across that same drawing and contacted Ian and said, "Hey, man, I'd love to build something like this." And
Wow.
so Ian was like, "Yeah, let's do that. We'll do it. We'll do it on my show, on the TV show, which was Full Custom Garage." And I didn't know specifically he had a show. I just knew for him from the DVDs. So I was like, "Holy cow! I wonder if this is real." Well, 10 minutes later, my inbox lights up and it's Ian Russell messaging me. "Hey, Johnny, I don't know if you know who I am." Yeah, I don't know who you are. But I have this show. It's called Full Custom Garage, where I build cars and things for TV. And I have a client who showed me one of your drawings, and we were kicking around the idea of maybe building something like your drawing. Would you be okay with that? And I immediately responded with, absolutely, that would be amazing. And also too, if there was any way I could be a part of it, uh, just keep that in mind. I'd push a broom, I'll do whatever. He's like, yeah, we'll sweat the details. I just wanted to make sure it was good so we can move forward, because we didn't want to, steal your art and just make something without, contacting you. And I was like, well, that already like this guy because he's doing it the right way.
Right.
So a week or two goes by, another message from him. "Hey, man, we're gonna do it. We're gonna start working on it. This is what we're starting with. What do you think?" And I'm like, he sends me photos of this derelict, bay window bus, a mini bus where it had been cut and chopped, like almost like a clown car,
Yeah.
a bay window, and it's my drawing is this split window single cab bus that's been kind of shortened into like a T-bucket length,
Okay.
sitting on like a T-bucket chassis. Because I was like, how do I get the VW guys and the hot rod guys together? I'll do this. This is my idea. A hot rod VW, but not like anybody's ever done. And so that thing floated around the internet for years. And so next thing I know, man, every couple of weeks he was contacting me of like, "Hey, I'm going to the metal supply store. What do you think of this? Hey, I just built the frame. What do you think of this? Hey, this is where the body's at. What do you think?" And like, I'm like in myths in the creative of it. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening. And then it comes down to the time of where they're about ready to finish the show. He's kept me abreast of everything he's done to it. I'm getting photos and conversations with him. I can't believe any of that's happening. And then I get the invite. "Hey, man, I don't know where you live. Would you be interested in coming to LA and be a part of the TV show and see your car or see the car?" And I was like, "Yeah, how do I do it?" Well, at the time, the TV show itself was a very low budget thing. So I paid for my own flight out of Florida to California, stayed in some weird hotel in Pomona, found where his shop was in the middle of, nowhere, kind of in the midst of Pomona and the city and all this stuff. From California, but I'm like, this is not a good area. From years of experience of living in California, we drive by this on the 101. We don't stop here. Anyways. So, we're in the midst of the nitty gritty of the city, and it was so awesome. And so I pull up in my rental car. The producer comes outside. I can hear Ian voice inside the shop, and they're trying to get the car to start, and it won't start. And that was the whole idea, is I'm going to walk in just as the car's starting. I still haven't met any of them. They put the microphone on me. I walk in, and then of course the rest is filmed on the show. But I was like, here I am standing in front of what was in my brain is sitting in front of me in real life, and I could touch it, and I could look at it, and I could feel it. And I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening to me. So you talk about the Chip Foose thing,
Yeah.
to have that come full circle of like I dreamed of being able to do that, and it's actually happening,
Oh
and
my
I can't believe it's happening because it's a rare thing. I still know I don't take any of that stuff for granted because I know it's still such a rare thing that happened to me, and it not only happened once, but him and I ended up doing 5 different cars.
let's go. So in
Yeah,
your backstory, you had talked about Johnny Five.
yeah,
What?
that's the name of it, which was really cool. So we're sitting at dinner after the first day of filming of me walking in and seeing it for the first time. Now I'm with Mark Hayward, who is the owner of the car, Ian's client, and his wife. Ian had decided to stay. Ian's not a very sociable person, but he decided to stay back. So him and me and Mark, his wife, went to dinner, and he's like, "Yeah, we're thinking of naming the car Johnny Five." I'm like, "Why?" Well, it's got a number 5 on the side, and it's your design, so we want to name it after you.
Let's
I'm like,
go.
"Really? You can name it anything."
Oh
No,
my
we're gonna name it the Johnny Five. I'm like, "Okay, sure. You okay with that?" I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So then the next day we go, we film the thing, we film it, we take it to a park, we film all the cool stuff happening, and Ian gets on the gas and throws the thing sideways, and he breaks the rear end in it. So we push the rest of it for the filming of the show. We put it all loaded up on the trailer. The next day we get up, Mark puts it in a trailer, and it heads to Canada. And that's the last time it's ever been seen. Oh, no, sorry. We took it to Pomona the next day, to the Pomona swap meet. Have you ever been to that?
I have not.
Giant swap meet in Pomona, like huge car. It's like miles and miles. It's at the Pomona drag strip. So there's a car show and then there's a swap meet all going on at the same time. You any you could build a Volkswagen from the ground up. Every part of a Volkswagens are there, but it's every kind of car, low riders, muscle cars, Volkswagens are swap meeting. Then there's a whole sick ass car show on the other side of the big giant parking lot.
Sick. I've heard of it actually. The
Yeah.
Pomona.
So we decide we're gonna take Johnny Five and we're gonna set it in the midst of that, and we're gonna film everybody coming and see what they think of it. And the reaction is like, I've never seen anything like this. Oh my god, so amazing. I couldn't believe it. Like dream come true of like all this full circle stuff. And then of course I went into a trailer and went to Canada. So that Pomona swap meet was the last time that car's ever been seen.
Wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And if I get a chance, I'm gonna get that car back
Very
someday.
cool.
I'm gonna get it back.
Why do you think monsters and cars go together so well?
Well, because it's again, there's no rules, right? So a monster would, uh, if you're a monster, you're not driving some lame, you know, off the showroom floor car. Your car is going to be crazy and full of fire and noisy and loud and, whatever it is. I think that's why I think it really is why it goes together. It's this out of control thing in an out of control thing. They just perfectly go together.
Perfectly cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Let's touch on your sketchy live
Sure.
for a sec. So you and your wife, nickname Itty B,
That's
have
her name. Yeah.
have been hosting this sketchy live for what, eight years?
8 years now. We're
8
heading
years.
on
How,
8.
how,
Yeah.
how did it start? How did it happen?
So the whole idea of that was when I was going out to film the TV show Full Custom Garage. After that Johnny Five episode, the very next car we build is the Space Junkie, which is this bubble top crazy car. And Ian says, "Hey, I want you to do some pre sketches of this idea." And this is true. In the summer between Johnny Five and this car, he sends me a picture of a quarter panel off of like a 65 Ford wagon, station wagon, rear quarter panel, a bubble that he had blown for another project, the chassis from the old Johnny or the old Space Junkie, and said, "Hey, I want to do something weird. Come up with some ideas. Use these as inspiration. I want to use these pieces." So I did like four concept drawings of these bubble top cars, which is always they're my favorite. I love bubble top. Big Daddy Roth. Come on, how many bubble top cars? The Beatnik Bandit is my most favorite car that he built. It's a bubble top car. So here I'm going to get a chance to design a bubble top car from nothing.
Wasn't the original Batmobile bubble tops?
I don't know. The Future, I think, originally kind of was, and then Barris split the two canopies
Yeah.
to make kind of like front and a rear. But I
Okay.
think the Future that it took its idea from was a full bubble.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Cool.
Barris did some bubble stuff too. That was the thing, Starbird, big into the bubbles. All those show cars of that 50s, late 50s, early 60s era was the bubble tops were crazy. They're like spaceships. So to get to do one of those was second dream come true. I'm gonna get to design a bubble top. So I threw some sketches at them. So when I go to the show, now they want to film me drawing. And I'm like, how much time do you have? Because it usually takes me a couple of hours to do a drawing. And they're like, we don't have 2 hours to sit here and just film me drawing. Is there any way you can like draw faster? And I'm like, I guess. So there was the pressure of drawing on camera.
Oh my goodness.
Then there was the pressure of drawing 4 times as fast as I normally would draw. And then for it to still come out like where I was like proud of it.
Does
So
does it change trying to draw in front of
it
an
was
audience?
very hard.
Does it
And in
change
fact,
does it change the creative flow for an artist?
for sure, because all the pressure's on.
Damn.
It would be draw. Oh, hey, can you? Okay, the light's weird. Can we stop? I'm gonna move the camera. We'll get it from this angle? Can you draw that again? I'm
Oh,
like,
whoa.
okay. So I did a couple sketches. Luckily, they were okay enough. I'm still bummed that they weren't as good as I really wanted them to be, because then I went back, stayed up all night, and I had another opportunity in the show where I brought updated photos or pictures, because I told Ian, I'm like, dude, I'm not happy with these drawings. I'd like a little bit of time because I think I could come up with better ideas. No problem, man. So we did that, and luckily that all worked. But they wanted to have me drawing on camera. So Sketchy Live came from that, which was I
Okay.
was I was learning to have to draw on the fly fast. So what better way to do that? Which was I'm trying to create content for YouTube, which is let me draw, film myself drawing. People will watch it. They'll think that's cool. And so I tried to do that, and then I can work on speed as well. But then I hit a roadblock because I also had people commenting as I was drawing, asking questions, and I couldn't read and draw, answer questions. It was hard. So one night I said, "Hey," to my wife, "can you do me a favor and read the comments for me while I'm drawing?" And first time she did it, it was a little sketchy. We called it Monster Mondays, is where it started. It was Monster Mondays with Johnny Jalopy, and she was just a voice reading the comments. Well, then she, being who she is, her personality started kicking in, and then it became this thing of where it became about talking about the drawing, and then we talk about movies, and we talk about music, we talk about her day, and it became this whole other thing while I would draw something, and it went from like an hour and a half show to where I was getting stuff done in an hour from start to finish. And so it progressively got me faster to where the next time I got asked, which was the following car we did, I got asked to draw on camera. I was in a much better comfortable spot, even though I was still very nervous and it was still a lot of pressure, but it was a little easier. So that's where it started. It was a way to get faster on camera, but then it turned to this whole other thing.
It's so cool how stuff evolves from pressure,
Yeah,
right? Which we can make the comment, diamonds evolve from pressure. So
right.
they certainly can create something good. But on the topic of social media, you mentioned YouTube and, obviously you're on Instagram and stuff like that. Now, social media has, in your opinion, helped or hurt car culture?
I think it's definitely helped it. We are the reach for automotive fans to be able to be, the fact that I could look at people in Japan and see the things that they're working on or projects they're working on. People from the UK can contact me. I'm amazed. Even on our live sketching show, I've had people from Brazil and Germany and Russia pop on the thing and comment and say hello and all this. And I'm like, oh my goodness,
It's the craziest thing ever, man.
had my dad thought back in that day of where he just had his little painting in the local gallery where 7 people, 10 people maybe saw it,
Right.
and my reach is global.
Dude.
Like, oh my goodness, look at from what he, again, my promise I made is he's being seen globally now. And then
Ah.
the TV show helped because, of course, then it got started getting shown in different countries, and that was the fun part. I would have fans from those countries send me. They videotape the on their phones, the show being in their language, and I'd get to hear myself speak Portuguese and German, and like this is crazy. So that part was fun. But just the global reach is just amazing. So I think it's done amazing things for the culture.
No.
Uh, and again, I think America still needs to remember that there everybody else wants to so bad to be what we have, and I think sometimes we take it too much for granted of all the freedoms and the things that we have to do what we do,
Right.
which is why like maybe local shows don't get as many people as they should, or different shows don't get as many people as they should. Where if this was in another country, there's hundreds and hundreds because they're like, this is our only chance to get to this type of stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. So I can talk on that because just this last year, never in my life did I ever think that, I would ever be outside of my own neighborhood, truth be told. But I
Right.
started this podcast because I felt like everywhere I went, somebody had a Volkswagen story. And
Yeah.
as a hobbyist and a Volkswagen enthusiast, got my first one in high school, always been a fan, always had them throughout my life. How cool would it be to talk to the people in the culture and interview them and talk to them about, the first Volkswagen they owned, or those same Volkswagen stories I hear when I pull into the gas station and the guy says, "Oh man, you got
Yeah.
a yellow one. Man, I had that, same car in 1960, whatever. Kissed my first girl in that car," and just whatever
Right.
the stories, right? My point is, never did I think that that would turn into something that would have hundreds of thousands of downloads, millions of views on social media, and then be downloaded in 70, I think I'm up to like 77 or 79 countries.
That's
Like,
awesome.
what, dude?
That's
Uh,
awesome.
Never, I'm like, never. But that's the power of the Volkswagen community,
For
truly.
sure. Yeah.
Uh,
It is.
how cool
Which
is
is what,
that?
which when I first, I'd always, like I told you, in the cruising days and the mini trucking days, I always saw the Volkswagen guys and gals and thought to myself, man, it's so different, so cool. It always seems so unattainable. And then the first time I went to an actual, just a VW show, I don't know how I remember how I think maybe I heard there was a show going on and I decided to take my artwork there once. And we didn't do great, which was fine. But what we did do is we met a different type of people because we were coming from where it was hot rods and stuff, and it was a little more closed off.
A
The
little more
VW,
cliquish. Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
It's gotten better. Um, but the VW people immediately were like, "Hey, how are you? What's going on? Hey, come over here. Oh, hey, you want a hot dog? Hey, we got a soda. Hey, you need a beer?" They were so much like, "Hey, come over, check it out." So willing to talk to people, and everybody talks to each other. Um, you got your different groups that kind of come in together in clubs and different stuff, but everybody's kind of just psyched to be together and share conversations and ideas and parts of, and help and stuff. That's the part I was like, man, this is the people I want to be get closer to being around more of. And that's when, my wife and I were like, we got to get a bug. So then the quest started. We got to find ourselves a VW. We got to get one. And, we eventually did. And then, the rest is history.
Yeah.
How it all happens. It's so funny.
So you probably own several over time, but what do you own now?
To be honest, this is the one bug that I have currently is I take that back. We bought a project bug in first. It was a Baja bug that I was going to turn into a Volksrad because I love there was a guy in my neighborhood that had one running around, and I'd see it every single day. I go, that thing is the coolest thing because it's not a regular bug, and it's like a hot rod, but it's not.
Yeah.
Oh man! And so finally followed that guy home one day, and I'm like, man, I love your vehicle. It's so cool. And he's like, "Oh, I like your old car," because I was driving around a 51 Chevy at the time. But I was like, "That thing is so cool." And he's like, "Yeah, well, I have a Baja Bug. You could probably turn into one of these." I'm like, "Really? How much?" And it was so cheap. So I was like, I bought it. So I bought it, and he's like, "Yeah, if you need any help, this was the cool thing. VW people, if you need help on your projects, let me know. I'll go to the swap meets with you. I'll tell you what you need. I'll give you the list." Da da da. So we started doing that, and I started acquiring parts, and then eventually, it was time to have a motor, and this guy had motors galore. And I went to his house to get a motor for this project, and he's like, "You know what? Why don't you just buy the one that you followed me? It's been sitting for about 3 years now." He goes, "Why don't you just buy that one?" I'm like, "Really? You should buy that one." I'm like, "I can't afford that one. That thing is so cool." And he made an offer of a price that I was like, "Really?" So super cheap. Like I think he's super friend, VW friend gifted it kind of ish to me.
Yeah.
And we took it home. It wasn't running. I got it running within a weekend, I was like, I love these things. They're so easy to work on, not knowing yet, because against my first bug, that easy to work on is going to also, you're going to work on it a lot.
Yeah.
And then so we did it. And we drove around, and we got to go to our first meet with people, and everyone was so cool and it was awesome. And then as it goes, then your bug starts giving you troubles and you can't figure out what's wrong with it. And next thing you know, show after show after show, you're missing because yours is broke down, and
Yeah.
you're trying to figure it out, and you're chasing one problem for 3 years and you can't figure out why it is. And you're too proud to ask anybody because you don't want them to know you don't know anything about VWs, but you have one. Why do you have one if you don't know anything about it? But anyways, we finally got it running, and it's up and running. So and then we sold that other project, and this one's been the one we've had for the longest time.
Volksrod. So you got a Volksrod.
That we drove around for the longest time. And then 2 summers ago, Johnny decided, I'm tired of sitting on the bench. I'm going to build myself a custom too. So I took my perfectly good Volksrod and I cut the back end of it off, and I turned it into a pickup truck. Didn't know how to weld, didn't know how to do anything. And I taught myself in it. I started July 5th, made it to, and my goal was to make it to that bug jam November.
Mhm.
And I got it to bug jam
Heck yeah, dude. What year was that?
2 years ago. I think
Okay.
it was 2 years, or maybe it was 3 years ago.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And
So
you still
I,
got
I,
it?
I got it there.
You still
Yeah.
got it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
How about one thing that you still want to master? Sounds like you master everything that you put your mind to, but
I definitely metal fabrication. I want to master that. I want to become better at it, because I'm dangerous enough to get myself into trouble with it. And
that's
I'm still super super learning how to control metal and form metal and do the things. I'd like to really learn that skill set a lot more and become a much more proficient welder and fabricator.
so you said the word better, and
Yeah.
that to me, right? Better is probably different for me than it is for you because you just see the world different as an artist. What does better mean to you? What does better work?
Where I can I mean, so I took this Volkswagen project in a short period of time, went from not knowing how to do it, teaching myself how to weld correctly and control metal and bend and do all this stuff, to where it's still running around. It's not hasn't fallen apart in the last, I guess, 3 years now. It's been since I finished the project. And did things you shouldn't do for your very first project, like learning how to weld. You should never do a chop top at the same time, and you should never, if you're going to do your first chop top, it should never be a very extreme chop. And I did all that. I shouldn't have done that, but I but I did it and accomplished it, and it looks pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with how it flows, and I got the approval of my buddy Ian. Looked at it and went, "Dude, you got all the lines right. It's all." And I'm like, "Well, if I could just get my welds, so what better? Just my welds to look better, to be better quality, to look where I'm not ashamed to, like, look at my welds."
Right. No,
Like, some of them were really good, but then because some of them were really also not great, I also then kind of started making on purpose crappy welds so everything looked like it's supposed to be kind of rough.
So I've got a small background in HVAC. I spent about maybe 3 years in the field as a technician before I moved into the sales side of it. So I naturally learned brazing
Huh.
with copper line sets, and I never got to the point where I felt confident enough to say to somebody, "Yeah, man, those are mine. That's my work
Right.
there." I always
Yeah.
used to hide and be like, "Nah,
It's not leaking. Everything's working.
right.
Don't
It's
do
not leaking. That was
that.
my goal. As long as
Right.
it holds pressure, we're good." But no, no, no,
Same
no.
case, which is my whole goal was I want if I can get it back on the road and I can drive it around and at least it lasts for a year before baby welds start breaking or cracking or whatever. That would be an accomplishment. And now it's been, and I've driven it around and been pretty rough on it, and everything is held together. So I did something right. You
Mission
know what I
accomplished.
mean? Yeah.
What do
So
you want your art to say 50 years from now?
uh that's Johnny Jalopy.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
like when you look at the Rat Fink, you go Big Daddy Ed Roth. That's I wanted where you see it, you go Johnny Jalopy. That's like the whole purpose of my brand, my logo.
Mhm.
That was one of the first uh real art pieces that I was like, if I'm gonna make a logo, I got to make sure that makes a statement to where even if I took the words John Jalopy out, you'd go, oh, that's John Jalopy's logo.
Mhm.
To the point, I've had actual guys that I'm the first guy that ever flipped a brim on a hat, but I've had other guys who now made their logos like mine, and I'm like, okay. A couple of them have said, "Hey, you cool with this?" I'm like, "Hey, that's fine."
It's
They'll
flattering.
just they'll just think it's mine.
At the end of the day, that's got to feel like
Yeah,
an
you know,
accomplishment.
the hope is that you, like I said, you could take the words John Jalopy out of there. You could just see the hat, glasses, um, and you would go, "Oh, John Jalopy's logo. I know who that guy is." You know, that's the hope. So what you were saying?
All right, I got some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay,
These are questions that demand a fast response, but if a story comes of it, hey man, I'm out here to cut you off. Uh, let's dive in. You ready for them?
sure, absolutely.
All right, first question. Favorite VW body style or body line of all time?
That's too hard, man.
Because they all
Definitely,
look good.
I love the Gia. I think there's so many customization possibilities in the Gia that haven't been done yet. And the thing, something about that square,
Thing.
all the really hard edges of it that is so not the normal VW is why I like it because it's so not. It is, but it's not the VW. You know what I mean? You see a thing and you go VW, but not like all the other rounded off everything else. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, next one. Pencil or tablet?
damn, probably tablet,
Oh man, that's cool. All right, how about this one? Oil or acrylic?
acrylic,
All right. Monster or clean build?
monster,
Of course. Favorite era of VWs?
era. Hmm. This is supposed to be rapid fire. Now I'm over here thinking about it. I mean, I love that 80, that eight from 80s to the early 90s, even West Coast, East Coast, both uh, design. Are you talking about years of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 60s.
60s. Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful years. Nobody ever asks me because I'm always the one asking, but my favorite by far is 60s until I get to the bus. Everybody loves the split window bus. For some reason, I don't know why, I'm a bigger fan of bay window bus. So 68 to what, 79 ish. Yeah, it's my favorite bus.
Huh.
I just like that kind of bubbly windshield. I just like, they call the bay window the Cadillac of buses.
Yes.
I don't haven't owned one, and I've come pretty close a couple times. I did have a split, a 67, but that'd be
See,
my
and I would probably, yeah. I understand your. For me, I look at it and go, it's the one that where it's the misunderstood one, But when you see one done right, oh man, it
Oh, they're
looks
so
sick.
sexy, dude. Yeah, they're
It
so
looks so good.
classic. It's just such a
Yeah,
classic Volkswagen to me.
for
All
sure.
right, another question. Maybe one artist that you feel everybody should study.
Ed Newton.
Ed Newton.
He was a very, if you know, like, so if you know Big Daddy Ed Roth's or Ed Roth Studios, the artist, um, the majority of the most popular or the most iconic drawings that came out of that studio were done by Ed Newton. Um, his line work, his how he would get shading in just ink is amazing, and then how it's set up for all these amazing T-shirts that became these iconic T-shirts that we know of hot rods and monsters and stuff. He was the guy. Him and of course Robert Williams too, was like the Godfather of lowbrow was Robert Williams. So one of those two artists for sure.
Okay. If you could design, you've obviously got some experience here of designing some badass cars, but if you could design one VW, no budget at all, no budget limit, what are you building?
Again, I go back to the Gia. I think the Gia's got it's such an interesting. It's already got so many cool lines to it already that I've seen in my brain where you could take again. That's another beautiful car that you could take to the custom side of like hot rods and customs, and it would fit right in there with some different styling. Taking some of those, you know, definite like Watson, Bill Hines influenced Barris type choices into a Gia, and I think it would look sick. Like I see the whole rear quarter panels extended out, the hood line drop down, the roof line drop down.
Oh,
Uh,
dude,
yeah,
I love it. So I've got a 71 and it's beautiful. My wife and I found it in Pennsylvania, and we went up to this barn to pick it up, and it was a one owner, 46,000 original miles. And I got it when the market was still pretty strong, so it was decently priced,
right.
12 and some change, somewhere around there. But uh beautiful car. It's at the auto clutch, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
very, very fun, easy car to drive. It's my wife's favorite Volkswagen. Of all air-cooled cars, that's her favorite car. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so I've got one. It's Irish green, and it's
They're just so pretty. Even just the stock lines. It's them,
you're
again,
not wrong.
you get the stance right on that car. Oh, it's hard to touch it.
I love it. Yeah, man. Okay, so a Gia. All right.
Yeah.
Uh 10-year-old Johnny, what's he say about your life and accomplishments?
He'd be shocked. He would say, "There is no way that stuff. You've done all that stuff. You've talked to that guy. You met that person. You went there. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are so many things that I've got to do in a short period of time, which feels like it's been a long time. But yeah, that people that I've got to talk to, people I've met, and people that have said they know of me. I'm like, no way. So that part's pretty. 10-year-old Johnny be like, yeah, right.
Okay. I love it though, because that's what dreams are made of right there.
Yeah, dreams
And
come true.
yeah,
I'm a
buddy.
firm believer. Dreams come true.
Yeah, hell yeah. I love that. So one word that describes your art, just one word.
Sketchy.
Cool, cool, man. All right. One word that describes the Volkswagen community.
Ah, uh, non-judge. That's two words. uh, open.
Open. Hey,
Yeah,
man. Easy, good way of saying non-judgmental, because I knew
yeah,
that's where you were headed. But awesome. Open,
open.
open. And you're right, because it doesn't matter what the car looks like.
Yeah.
Just bring it to the show, because
Did it make it?
you're right. And that's the real victory, right?
Right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but
you got it here. It didn't
it's such
catch
a
on fire.
such a
You
good word.
drove it, and and if you're lucky, it'll start up when you're getting ready to leave.
Best mix of people in a community, automotive community that I've ever been around because you've got
Sure.
brain surgeons, doctors and lawyers, all the way down to the gas station attendant who put his own motor in 5 hours ago before he came to the show.
For
Uh,
sure.
and it's just, yeah, man. So open, very well said. All right. I've taken quite a bit of your time this evening, so
It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. I really respect that. But where can people find you? Because these guys that I've had on the podcast in the past that run these shows, these big giant Volkswagen shows all over the country, they better reach out to you because I want
I
to
sure hope
I want to
so.
see Johnny Jalopy art on some of their promotions. But where can people find you? Give me maybe an email, your Instagram.
Sure.
Where can people find you?
Easiest places to find me is johnjalopia.com. That's the easiest place. There's a contact spot there. You can watch all the old sketchy live episodes. You can get merch. You can talk to us. You can chat with us. That's the beautiful thing about myself and my wife is we are open. We are available. I don't hide behind. I'm very social. I love talking to people. Love getting to know new people. So johnjalopy.com, Facebook, the same thing. John Jalopy at Facebook, John Jalopy at Instagram, John Jalopy at YouTube. And of course, my email is johnjalopyllc at gmail.com.
All right. And Johnny's Johnnny Jalopy
Correct.
Jalopy.
Jalopy.
Yep.
Yep.
Just in case. I don't want anybody to miss it. All right. Final message to the kids sitting at the car show right now, studying the body lines like you once did. Final message to them.
Stick stick to it and just keep looking at all the details of stuff and paying attention to it because there's a story behind all the decisions that were made, and it's what makes that car so much what it is, and then go and figure out how to change it.
I love it, dude. Yes, man. Good stuff. Thank you, buddy.
And I would also talk to the gentleman standing next to that kid, seeing him looking at that car, and say, fill that kid in as much information as the knowledge that you have about our culture, about your car, about what's going on, because that is the only way this hobby, this culture of automotive, VW, hot rods, all of it, if we don't get younger folks like your son there immersed in the culture, we're going to lose it.
Right.
That's on my podcast. That's what I talk a ton about, which is if we're going to keep this thing going and not allow it to die, we got to get new people in here. And the only way to get new people in there is when you're at a car show and a little kid's standing next to your car, you go, you want to get in it?
Yes.
Take those don't touch me signs, chuck them. It's just paint. It's just shiny. If you're afraid to get your car scratched, leave it at home. The rest of us will open car doors and get these kids in the cars and let them experience what it feels like to be in these machines that we love so much.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Awesome. And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.